Following.
Yeah. Now, am I audible to you? Please text in the chat section, chat box. Am I audible, everyone? So, as we were discussing the form of narration. So, the chief form of narration is telling a story, as I was saying, because the story which is being narrated by the person to the second one, the story for narration has to be selected in the context of the curriculum material being transacted. So the teacher should be able to tell stories in an interesting manner. Because whenever you see this narrating stories, so should not we should not tell story in such a manner that would be very bored to listen, and it would become a boredom for the students. Actually, the story should be told in a very interesting manner that we should have the students. So when we have the students, then they would listen to the story more carefully. So in this teaching learning method, we see that when they pay attention carefully while listening the story, then half of the things is already done in the classroom. So when they already learn the story, or when they are able to understand the story very well manner, then they would also be able to solve such problems related on stories. So once the story is told in an interesting manner, then only students, they would relate the story and they would pay attention in the class. So the story must be told in a very interesting manner that relates students, and they would learn the story proper manner. So if we want to be a good narrator, so to be a good narrator, should know the skillful language of language and speech. We should know the use of metaphors and similes relating to experiences familiar to pupils. So these metaphors and similes that are used, these are the poetic devices which are used in this language. So they should have the proper knowledge about these poetic devices used in these languages, those metaphors and similes which are about the comparison between two indirect objects. So when we learn the use of these metaphors or similes, and other poetic devices are also there which are used in this language, so then we can just relate the experiences familiar to the pupils. Then while giving the examples of these metaphors and similes, we should give such related examples and our own personal experiences which are much familiar to the pupils. Then they would relate more proper manner. And also the use of suitable verbal illustrations involving familiar experiences. Catchy words and phrases should be used to create vivid images. So while creating vivid images, so this poetic device, which is called imagery. So while discussing about this imagery, so such words, such catchy words and such phrases should be given, should be used to the students, that would bring clear picture in the that and this phrases which gives a clear knowledge and create such vivid images in the students' mind. So when this image is created in their mind, then they would understand about these poetic devices and other things or other examples. Then they can relate, you know, and also understand more carefully about these devices. So we should try to give such examples, and which would create such images in the student's mind. So next, we'll talk about description. So actually, what is description? Description is the portrayal in words, the person, object, thing, and phenomenon or object. So the purpose is to give a mental picture of the same to the pupils. So it gives the mental picture, whatever described description when we say whenever anything is described and a description is given, then it gives a mental picture. Picture is created in their mind, so they can relate with the pictures, anything. If it is described in a proper manner, then the pupils are able to relate with the picture. And as a good narration, description also, the language should be sufficiently vivid, lucid, and interesting enough to hold the attention of the children. So once we are describing anything, telling the description of such inanimate objects or any such living or non-living things or whatever is being described, so we should describe in such a manner, such a way that while listening, so when the students listen, so that should hold the attention of the children. Such interesting way it should be told, it should be taught, that it should keep holding students and they won't be distracted from the topic. So it should be, the words should be sufficiently vivid, should be very clear and very lucid and interesting to listen for the students, for the children. So when they will pay the attention, then the topic will be more easy. The topic will be more easy for them to understand. But the words chosen should also be exact and precise, so that only correct images of what is being described are visualized or mentally perceived. So we should also keep in mind this fourth point, as we have discussed, that whatever word we choose, that word should be very exact and precise. So if we use such wrong words, that would create a wrong image in students' mind, children's mind, and that would not give a clear picture about whatever we are saying, we are trying to describe. So the word should be very exact, precise. So when the words are correct and precise, so then it gives a correct image of the thing described to the children. Next, we will see about exposition. The exposition is a time-honored technique, particularly employed at the presentation stage of a lesson. So it's a very new technique. Actually, it's a technique of giving new information initially and then clarifying in detail. Suppose anything you want to give the information about anything, then what technique should be used while giving such information? So that technique we should know. Like we said, very unique technique should be used while giving this information, and then because this information initially clarify the details of the topic, the details of the content provided to the students. So it gives new information about topic, and it also clarifies topic, the content taught to them in details. So exposition should be used to clarify topics in details, clarify the proper way. The purpose of exposition. The purpose of exposition is to promote thinking among the pupils, and thus to enable them to grasp the meaning, the subject matter presented in an intelligible manner. So now we see the purpose of exposition. So what is the purpose of exposition? So the purpose of exposition is to promote thinking. So it promotes the thinking of the students, so what they think, and develop the thinking of the students among the pupils, and actually it also enables grasp the meanings, whatever it is exposed, exposition. So they should also grasp the meaning. So without this meaning, without knowing the proper meaning of subject, it would be difficult for them So it gives the meanings of the subject matter presented in an intelligible manner. So then the students are grasp, then the students are able to grasp the meaning, when it is presented proper manner and promotes the thinking about the pupils and presents in an intelligible manner. Review. It is the mental process of going through some materials after its initial learning. So when you see about the review, then what is review? So before going through this review, I just would like to about this exposition and the things that we have discussed earlier. So if anyone has any doubt, then they can just text in the comment this one chat section, chat box. If anyone has, if the topic is not very clear, thank you everyone. So now we'll see this review. So review actually it is the mental process of going through some materials. It is the mental process of going through some material after its initial learning. So when we have learned anything new after its initial learning, so we have to go through the review. We have to see the review. So what is the review of the topics or whatever we have learned yet? So we can just go through topic, the review, and we can just we can call it recall. And if anything is lacking behind, then it can be discussed and it can be cleared so that anything should not be left. So this is the review. Actually, it is just a process. So whenever some materials, whenever the new things we learn, then when we have to go through such new things, then we have to go through its initial learning. So a review, actually, it is an intelligent re-examination of something learned with a view to enrich the exposition, clarify ideas, or to reorganize the material and register it appropriately in the cognitive structure. So we have to just re-examine whatever we have learned or whatever we have the materials or the content which is being taught to the students. So we have to just re-examine the materials that whether it is clear or not, or if they have any doubt, if they have any doubts regarding to the topic. So we have to just re-examine once whatever is learned by the students. So something learned with a view. So what happens when we re-examine the process, the initial learnings, whatever the process that being taught to the students, then it actually enriches with a view to enrich the execution and enhances the knowledge and also helps the students to clarify the ideas, and they also can reorganize the material Once they reorganize the ideas or the materials, then they can have the proper information about things, and actually they can deal it in an appropriate manner. So such review involves, so the part of reviews that are given here that involves our recall. So the first part that we can see here is to recall. So whatever is being taught, we have to just recall once. Suppose we can just ask the questions regarding the topic that we had taught or we have discussed the previous day. You can just recall once, so that once we recall the topic related to the content or the materials that is taught, so they can just recall and they can have the proper learning about the proper information, the proper knowledge about the topic. Renewal as well as establishment of new relations through reflective thinking. So because as we say that every student, they have got their own thoughts, they think in their own manner. The thoughts may vary from students to students, because every student is special, and every student has got their every student has got their own thoughts. So we can see that establishment of this new relations through reflective thinking. So we can focus on this reflective thinking. So what the students are thinking, what is being reflected to students, and what is being reflected to them once whatever is taught to them. So are they relating to the topic, or they are just sitting idle in the class? So the reflective thinking and recalling and renewal of the knowledge is also a very important part of this review. So as we have discussed that in review, we can see that we can go through some new materials after its initial learning. First point that we have discussed, and the second is re-examination. You must re-examination of something learned, because it enriches and enhances the knowledge. And also we can recall, renewal, as well as establishment of new relations. So these things are important in this review. So the next we can see here was the group discussion. So this is also a very important part in teaching learning method, is group discussion. So what is a group discussion? So group discussion is an exchange of ideas with all the members of the group participating in it. Group discussion. So all the members, those who used to participate in the event, so they in the group discussion, they just exchange the ideas. Suppose one student exchanges their own particular, their certain ideas with the other. So it is just exchanging of the ideas with all the members of the group. So suppose in a group 5 or 10 members are there. So because everyone will have their own idea, particular idea, so they can just exchange their ideas. Suppose if they exchange the ideas, exchanging the ideas will help students to learn very efficient manner. Suppose the students don't have that idea that the other students has, so they will also be able to have the idea, and they will able to relate to the topic more efficiently. So all the members who are participating in the group discussion, accompanied by active learning. So it is the free interchange of the facts, concepts, information, viewpoints, data, etc. regarding a topic by a group. So in a group, so they just interchange the facts which are discussed. So there are many facts that are discussed in the class. So all the facts want to be able for students to remember all the facts or all the things taught in the class. So suppose different, even a single idea is remembered by the student, then if they share the idea with the other group or the other student with the other student, and they share their own idea with this student, they both become, by combining the ideas, they can create a new idea. So actually, it is the free interchange of facts and such concepts. If the concept is not clear, so they can have a group discussion, and in group discussion they can go through these concepts which are unclear, and they can have more clear idea about the concepts, the data regarding to a topic by group. The next is spontaneous discussion. So spontaneous discussion generally results from the doubts raised by the students about current events related to the topics under study. So actually, whatever the current events, the current ideas which are discussed in the class, so when it is discussed in a group, so in planned discussion, the activities are planned in advance. So in spontaneous discussion, what happens? It results the doubts. Post group discussion, there are many students, and each students will raise a doubt, so that doubt will be cleared by another student, or if the doubt is not clear even by the student, then they can get help the teachers, and that time the doubt will be cleared about the current events and related to any topics under study, whatever they have studied, what any topic, if they have got any particular doubt, then it can be cleared in a proper manner in a planned discussion. So it is planned discussion. So in a planned discussion, the activities are planned in advance. Suppose we have to discuss any idea, any activity, then it can be discussed in a planned way, in a planned manner, so that it can be planned in advance, so that it can be discussed in the group later. So we should have a proper lesson plan, the proper planning of the things planned earlier only. So the things should be planned earlier, and the activities should be planned proper way. So we should have the proper knowledge or the proper lesson plan of the topic that will be discussed another day in the group. So before discussing in the group, it should be planned in advance, and the topic should be given. The topic can be given to the students that this topic will be discussed tomorrow. So they can prepare the topics, and later they can just discuss in the group and have proper information, proper knowledge about the topic, given topic. So such activities can be planned in advance only. So this is called planned discussion. Planned discussion, the topics are already planned in advance. So when the topics are already planned in advance, then the students will have more. It will be more easy for the students to discuss in the group later. So structure of group consists of leader. So we should make a leader of the group. Suppose we are conducting a group discussion, then while conducting the group discussion, the link is already shared. You can just mark your attendance. So the structure of the group consists of a leader. So there should be a leader of the group. So we should first make a leader of the group. So the leader will advise the other students, those who have participated in the group, and other members of the group, as well as the topic of the discussion. So suppose whatever the topics will be discussed the next day, that should be already told, already should be given to the leaders, so that the leader will tell the other members of the group who prepare on the topic, and that topic will be discussed in the group the next day. So what happens? So usually in classroom situations, the teacher acts as the leader. So we see that when we talk about the classroom discussion, so the classroom discussion, what happens? The teacher, the leader of the classroom, but in a group discussion, so group discussion of the students, so there should be one monitor or one leader of the group. who will advise the other students to discuss on the topic. Because in the classroom situation, the teacher is only the leader, but in normal situations, one of the group members acts as the leader. Okay. But we can see that when we talk about normal situations, normal when the teacher is not present in the class or the only students are told have group discussion, then the group member or there is one leader who acts the group leader. There is a group leader and the group leader acts as a leader and just leads the students towards the topic and gives the information of the topic, and also asks, they can also raise the doubt to the leaders so that the leader will take the doubt, and if the doubt are solved by the group, if it is not solved in the group, then it can be discussed by the teacher later. So the leader of the group is responsible for directing the discussion. So this leader is the responsibility of the responsibility of the leader is to direct the discussion. So whatever being discussed in the group discussion is directed by the leader of the group. So the leader of the group directs the discussion and he is responsible for directing the discussion discussed in the group. Role playing is a task. So now we'll see about the role playing. Role playing is a task in which an individual or a group enacts the role of others. So some role can be played by the students. They can act the roles or they can act the characters, make characters. Suppose they can play the role of a character. So actually enacts the role of the others. So because it is an excellent strategy helpful for studying social behaviors and language learning. When we play the character, when we play the role of the characters or the role of the characters is played by the students, then it's very excellent way and a very helpful way for studying the social behavior. So by this method, we can the students can have the social behavior information, the knowledge about the social behavior of a person, social behavior of the particular character, and also about the language learning. So this playing the role of any character should be engaged in the class, should be promoted in the class, so that the students will be engaged in playing the characters, and they will be able to learn about the social behaviors and about the culture. So spontaneous role playing arises in the midst of a discussion. So proper planning is required for this. So when we talk about this role playing things, that actually the proper planning should be planned or earlier only. And in some cases, written materials which describes the role and situation is also presented in advance. These things should be presented in advance to play the role of character. Dramatization. So dramatization is a natural and systematic enaction of life situations with a view to give realistic and meaningful understanding and appreciation. So life situations are depicted in the form of a drama. The ideas to be presented are revealed through the action, conversation, and behavioral patterns of the characters. Dramatization is different from role playing in that the former is based on the story and the latter is based on the situation. So role playing does not require a story. You can see that actually when we want to play a role, then story is not required. Without having a story also, this dramatization can be done. Next is brainstorming. So by this, I would like to conclude this meeting. Attendance link is already shared in the group. So please mark your attendance.